The old chapter is proportions. So the first ones, and most of them when you set yours up, will be the easy proportions where it's just one thing missing. You cross, multiply, and divide. 3 times 7 is 21, divided by 2 is 10.5. These, you got to write an equation to solve. So you can't just cross, multiply, and divide because there's more than just a plain x in there. So what you got to do is, in order for these to be proportions, the cross products have to be equal. So 5 times 2a, which is 10a, has to equal 9 times a plus 1. So remember, when there's two things here, you got to take whatever this is times both of them. 9 times a is 9a. 9 times 1 is positive 9. So all I got to do is get that 9a over with the 10a, and this one just turns out one step and you're done. A is 9. This one, cross products. There's two things here, so you got to take the 4 times both of them. 4 times x, 4x. 4 times 1 is positive 4. Has to equal this times this. So take the 2 times each of those. 2x plus 12. So move the 2x over by subtracting it. Get the non-x's to the other side. It's a plus 4, so minus 4. So divide by 2, and you get your answer of 4. This one, 3 times d is 3d. That has to equal 7 times d minus 4. So take 7 times d, and 7 times negative 4 is negative 28. So I'll get the 7d out of there. It's a positive, so you minus 7d. And you get negative 4d equals negative 28. So divide by negative 4 and you get 7. Okay, other proportion problems. I gotta go to another page. Right here. Some of these where you gotta complete the proportion. So all you gotta do is follow the same pattern. Here they give you the original proportion, and then they give you this part. So in order to get a 5 over a, they went this over this. So then this part would be what over what? 2 over b, following the same pattern. Here is the original. So in this first part, they took the 8 plus the x, and then the bottom stayed the same. So you got to follow the same pattern. You take the 3 plus the y, and the bottom would stay the same. So it's just following patterns. You just got to do exactly what the pattern tells you to do. Get setting up your own proportions. You buy a 13-inch scale model of a sculpture, the Dancer. The ratio of the height of the scale to the height of the sculpture is 1 to 3. So again, this tells us the top number, since it was listed first, is the scale. Here, the bottom number, since it comes second, is the sculpture. So, here they give us a 13-inch scale model. So since this top number has to do with the scale, you got to put the 13 on top. And they're looking for the height, so that's what's missing there of the sculpture. So it's just 13 times 3 divided by 1 would be 39 inches. The ratio of the birth weight to the adult weight of a male black bear is 3 to 1,000. So this is the birth rate, and this is the adult weight. The average birth weight is 12 ounces. So again, since that's birth rate, you'd have to put that on top. So the bottom one is missing. It'd be 12 times 1,000 divided by 3 is 4,000. And since this was in ounces, this would be ounces. But you notice they want the weight in pounds. So what do you gotta do to change it to pounds? Divide by 16, because there's 16 ounces in a pound. So that'd be 250 pounds. Similar polygons. To find a scale factor, the scale factor is just a side over the other side. But you got to make sure you do it in the order they tell you to. Right here it tells you in order to do it. Take a side off of DEFG, which is this one, and put it over a side on the other one. So since this is a parallelogram, that would be 30. That means this would be a parallelogram also. So it's just 30 to 18. Which you can reduce. You don't need to, but you can. You could divide them both by 6, 5/3. Find the length of DE and the measure of angle F. So F is this angle, which would equal this one. Since this is 67 and it's a parallelogram, remember any two consecutive angles have to what? Add up to 180, they're supplementary. So just subtract that off of 180 and you get 113. Then we had to find the length of DE. DE is this length right here. So you do a proportion. X corresponds to that, which if this is 27, so is that. So that would equal 30 to 18. So you just cross multiply and divide. And you get 45. Then, find the ratio of the perimeters. That's, you add up all the sides of HJKL to that one. So this one is going backwards. So they want to do this to this. You don't know what it is without actually figuring it out? What is it?
Oh, wait, 27. Is there a fast food?
It's 3 to 5. Remember, a scale factor is exactly the same as the ratio of the perimeters. It's just this one's backwards. Since this one went DEF to G or HJKL, here they switch the order, so you got to switch those. Instead of 5 to 3, you got to do 3 to 5. So, if you forgot that, that's okay. You could add up this perimeter and add up this perimeter and just put this over that. But again, the shortcut is ratio of the perimeters is exactly the same as the scale factor. Just make sure you put it in the order that they tell you to. Okay, determining if they are similar or not. When it says to explain why or why not, that's just give the reason that makes them similar. So it's angle, SSS, or SAS. So looking at this one, if this is 104 and this is 48, you can figure out that angle.
It's AA.
This is 28, so there, these two are the same, so it's just yes, they're angle. If it's no, you just put no. If they're similar, write the similarity statement. So this would be triangle UST is similar. Similar is just the one squiggly line to XBW.
That one's AA too, right?
This one is. If we subtract those off of 180, This is 67, so it's no, because these two are not equal to that. And then here we've got an angle, and these two angles are the same, so angle works. So it would be triangle PQN is similar. Angle P, which would be equal to S, right, those two. And then Q is the same there, and then it would be N. So these were just the angle, and then we had the ones with side, and side angle side. So checking this to make sure that SSS works, 14 to 21, the shortest side to the shortest side, simplifies to 2/3. So then check the longest side to the longest side, 27 to 42. I can divide them both by 3, and I'd get 9. Fourteenths. Won't simplify anymore. These two are not alike, so this one is just no. All 3 sides got to be proportional. So on this one, I do know that this angle is the same because they're vertical. So check 25 to 20. That is 5/4. And then check 37.5 to 30. You don't have to simplify them, you could just divide them out. 5 divided by 4 is 1.25. So then divide that to make sure you get the same. You do. So these two are similar because of side angle side. Then the similarity statement, oh, they're not labeled, so you wouldn't have to write those. Then the proportions, finding a missing value. These are the simple ones, these two. You would just go x to 24 equals, follow the same pattern, 11 to 12. So 11 times 24 divided by 12 is 22. Same thing here, y to 15 equals, follow the same pattern, 7 to 10. And you get 10.5. This one, it would be h to 24 equals, since I took this piece to that, I'd have to take this piece to that. It's not labeled, so you gotta make a label. How would you represent this piece? Right. It's 40 minus h. It's the whole thing minus that piece. So you have to do a formula for this one. H times 35, which is 35h, has to equal 24 times this. So since there's 2 of them there, take them both times 24. This would be 960 minus 24h. So add 24h to get it over with the other h. And then divide by 59. And you get 16.2 or 16.3. We're wrong here. This is an old one? Okay. Okay, the ones that are a little more difficult are like this one. This is like the one we did in our assignment. It would be easy enough to find this and this. X over 1.4 equals 3.2 to 2.8. Turns out to be 1.6. And then to find this one, y to 4.2 would equal, I could use this to this or that to that, it doesn't matter. This is 4.8.
So we only have to find, the
Oh.
ones on the outside?
They should have left one of these blank. We'll just pretend we don't know this one. Because those are the ones where, when you're missing one of these, you gotta be careful how you set it up. Let's just say this is our X here. X corresponds to 1.5. So this is the bottom of this whole triangle, the X's. So you can't just put this to this or that to that. You gotta have the whole side. Like I could use this whole side or that whole side, doesn't matter. This would be 4.2 if I add those two up. And then here's the other triangle. So the side of that triangle is 2.8. So remember, when it's these types of pieces, you gotta use the whole side. You gotta add them up. Alright? Then it's a simple one. You just cross, multiply, and divide to find that. Dilations. Identifying the dilation, you just say, is it a reduction or an enlargement? It says the blue is mapped onto the red. So that means the blue's the original. So is this a enlargement or reduction? It's getting smaller, so it's a reduction. And then to find the scale factor, you just use any two corresponding sides. It's either going to be 42 to 24, which you could reduce, and again, it's not wrong if you don't. You can divide them both by 6, you'd get 7/4. Or you can flip them 4/7. Since it's a reduction, which one does it have to be? 4/7, because it's getting smaller. You can use these lines also. This is the trickier one here, though. Okay? Shh. Right? So, it's either going to be 4, because that's the distance from here to here, not to 16, because this whole distance is 20, which would be 1/5, or it would be 5 to 1. The blue maps to the red. Since it's getting smaller, it would be the 1/5. Now, sometimes they do give you a picture like this. They say this is 4, and then this is crossed off, and then they just give you the whole length. Okay? Just remember, it's got to be the same type of proportion when you set up that scale factor. Then, the only other thing on there, and it's the same type of proportion stuff. It's just you don't have to actually solve. You just got to fill in. Okay, if you got a picture like this, there's no numbers on there, but they just ask something like this: AE to EG equals what to what? So again, this is just another following the pattern thing. AE is from here to here, so what would that correspond to? BF. And then EG is this, so that would correspond to that. So on these, you're not solving them, you're just writing the proportion. There is no numbers on there, so that's impossible to solve. Everyone understand how that works? Yeah, these are, there's like 8 of them on the test, looking at this picture.
That's pretty easy. Right?
Yeah.
You just think.
Yep, so you just look at the piece. If they go CG, the corresponding piece would be DH. Okay, I think that is all of it on the test. One other thing. If you have a, let's see. If you've got a picture, a 4 by 6 inch picture, And you're gonna do a dilation, or you're gonna increase it by a scale factor of 5/2. And then they ask, what's the new dimensions? First of all, is it gonna get bigger or smaller if you got a scale factor?
Bigger.
Bigger. So what do you do to find the new dimensions?
You,
Take it times that.
Right, all you do is take it times 5/2. You take 4 times 5/2. 5/2 is just 2.5,
9.
10. And then you take 6 times 5/2. 15. So the new dimensions are 10 inches by 15 inches.
You just say yes.
That's everything.